Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching. I'm your host, the Report of the Week. When it comes down to taking a trip or taking a vacation or anything along those lines, a lot of people have different types of standards, you can say, upon which they make a judgment about it, right? When you take a vacation and someone asks you, well, what did you think of it? How was it? Did you enjoy the trip? A lot of people, I feel, they make a judgment. Well, yeah, I enjoyed it, or no, it was terrible. They make that judgment based on a variety of things. And whenever someone ever was to ask me, because I have traveled somewhat, I'm not a world traveler, but I've taken a little trip here and there, and most recently I took a little vacation over to Disney World in Central Florida here, so keeping it pretty local. But I went over to their Port Orleans resort. I always want to make sure I get the name right. And I was there for a few days. But when I really think, what did I think of that vacation, so to speak, a little mini vacay as they call it? The most important thing to me is the memories that were made there. That's the most important thing. Did I have fun? Did I have an enjoyable time? And did I make some good memories and some good experiences while I was there? I can say yes to all of those things. That's really what I use to kind of gauge a trip, gauge a little vacation. But I want to just take this video just to kind of talk about it a little bit, talk about some of the things I enjoyed about it, what I was doing there. I did do the video, gosh, I think it was about a week or so ago, when I went over to the Hawaiian luau. And that wasn't at this resort, that was over at the Polynesian Village Resort. And I gave a review about that. But of course, I did more than just go to that luau, and I kind of just want to talk in brief about some of the things I did while I was there. Maybe you might even get, if you're really lucky, you might get some pictures and some absolutely top of the line, incredible voiceover work as well. But I just want to do some miscellaneous talk and just talk about my little vacation. Sometimes it can be fun to have a little vacation, whenever you're feeling like you need one, and you can get the family together, be with those you love, and make some good memories, as I said. One thing that I did go to that a lot of people were kind of asking me, they wanted to know if I was going to do a review video about this. And I was kind of kicking myself. I was saying, gosh, I wish I did. I wish I had the kind of the footage available. Unfortunately, I didn't. But I went to this. It was called the Hoop-Dee-Doo Musical Revue at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground. I was actually able to salvage this. That's what it looks like. And unfortunately, while I don't have the actual footage, and I didn't document it to the degree that I did with the Hawaiian Luau, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's one of those shows that's really heavy on audience participation, and I was in the back, so I didn't get picked. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a fun show. It was enjoyable. The performers are so talented, I'll tell you that. But they put on a great show. I mean, I enjoyed it, honestly. The menu, I was kind of looking at this and reminiscing before I turned the camera on, where they serve crispy fried chicken, smoked barbecue ribs, mashed potatoes, and I remember the portion sizes here were really good, and the food I can't complain about at all. And then at the end, I believe, if I could find it here, they served, oh yes, the strawberry shortcake at the end, and that was really enjoyable. I mean, I liked that quite a bit. But that was just one thing that I did while I was there that kind of strikes out to me. It was just something that I was a little nervous about first and foremost because of my own anxieties, but I fought through it. I went over there and I had a great meal and enjoyed a good show and made some good memories about that too. But when it comes down to the resort itself that I stayed at, it was Disney's Port Orleans Resort, and it's kind of divided into a few different sections because it's actually a pretty big resort. Where they divide it, it's a little confusing at first, but they do a good job. If you ever end up at this resort, they do a good job explaining it to you. Where it's Disney's Port Orleans Resort, and then it's divided into the Riverside section and then the French Quarter. And then each of those sections is kind of divided into subsections. where the Riverside area is divided into Magnolia Bend and Alligator Bayou. That's the place I was at. And the French Quarter is divided into the North Quarter and South Quarter. And I know that sounds a little confusing, but again, I mean, they really do help you. This is a map that I was given while I was there. And I mean, it's really helpful. It gives you a little bit of everything. Usually it has your room number, building number, floor number, so you can kind of use it to navigate about and find your way. But it also lets you find your own way around the place. You know, it's great for finding, all right, I know that this restaurant is here and that the bus area is here and I could get on a boat here and so on and so forth. And one thing with Disney is that as big as it is, they make it easy to navigate around. You know, it's tough to get lost there because they always give you a handy dandy map or there's a directory or signs galore. But they do have a lot of good stuff at this resort. I mean, when it comes down to traveling, I'm one of those people that, for me, I could just hang out in the hotel room all day long, and that's that could be the fun of it all. But honestly, the resort here was enjoyable. I mean, the grounds are beautiful. I'm going to show you a few clips that I did take. Has great walking paths. They're beautifully maintained. That's one of the real things I do have to give Disney credit for. That for such a high-traveled, busy area with so many people traversing to and fro and so much activity going on, the upkeep, so to speak, of the entire property is incredible. And that always gets me, the fact that they're able to maintain it all, first and foremost, and secondly, with all of the people who travel there and everything. I mean, they keep the place looking beautiful. They really do. But one of my favorite things, the reason why I really wanted to go to this resort, is because of the walking paths on it. You know, I'm a night walker. I like to kind of walk around and get a little bit of exercise here and there. And, this is a great place to do just that. They have beautiful walking trails, places you can just stretch the legs, you can walk about. It's beautifully groomed and maintained. And to me, that was one of the biggest key attractions at this place. Also, of course, something I like about Disney is they make it easy to get around. You could get on the buses. They have plenty of bus stops around. So you can get from the resort to the park, or from one resort to another resort if you have people staying at different ones. They make it easy for you. You can get to Disney Springs if you want to go there. They have a variety of restaurants, places to shop about, and all sorts of things. You could even get on a boat from this resort and go straight over to Disney Springs. So they make it easy to get from one place to another. But if you don't want to, drag the car out and drive from one to the next, you can get on a bus or a boat, and usually they make it very efficient and easy to get from one place to the next. Well, speaking of that, actually that was an odd tangent because it's not really. I was going to make it sound like I was going to do into something transportation related, but really not. I do want to present you some glorious voiceover work to show you the hotel room that I was in. Again, this was in the Port Orleans Riverside Resort at the Alligator Bayou section. Okay, so this is just what your standard room at Disney's Port Orleans Riverside Resort at the Alligator Bayou looks like. Now, first and foremost, we're making the dramatic entrance into there right now. That's the heating cooling unit that you see there. What I'm pointing out now are the shades, or whatever you'd like to call it, the curtains. It actually works out really well if you're a night owl like me, because you can kind of adjust them so you could peek out like you're seeing there if you want and let the rays of sunshine in, or you could close them too and block out the sun. And for someone like me who really keeps a night schedule, those work out great for me. They really did a good job kind of keeping the sunlight out, and even for night owls, it's very accommodating. It's not one of those places where the sun, as soon as the sun comes up, it's blinding. It works out very nice. There's a table and chairs, stuff. Oh, there I am, vest and all, vesting it up. There's a view of a bag, a paper bag, on the floor there with, I believe that was some food I got that night, going with the socks. This has two beds in it. There's the first bed. Has some sheets on it. You can see there's the computer. That's where the base of operations is. Some pillows, some sheets. Up there you can see you could put things up here on this kind of counter. Radio reception is good. I had the shortwave radio there, the television set. You can put some few things there. A fan above keeps the room cool also. This little thing here can actually be pulled out. It can be an extra bed if you need one, if you have the kids there, whatever. Or you could kind of just use this for storage and put your backpack or bags or whatever you'd like. Here's the second bed. As you can see, very similar to the first one. They're pretty much identical. There's no huge difference at all when it comes down to it. But this room comes with two beds. You can see it is roomy for what it is. You know, you can probably have the table set up as you'd like. Uh, there I am really emphasizing the heat and cooling unit. Some good floor space though, so you know, some good room for everything. Also comes with, you know, good amount of cups, an ice bucket, a coffee machine, if you need to get caffeinated up. Also, of course, comes with a little mini fridge right there. Closing the door, making sure it's properly secured. Extra cabinets for storage, and up there I believe that's a rack for your hats. I would assume. Though you could probably drape anything you want over it, maybe a necktie, whatever. Here's the bathroom. In its closet space, you can see I have a suit there, some extra hangers there, some extra bedding up top there. It's a well-equipped room, truth be told. Looking here into the sinks, dual sinks, and again some room below. One interesting feature that actually I never saw before, you could actually kind of curtain off the bathroom area right here, so there isn't necessarily a sliding door, but there is this curtain here, which makes it very interesting. You know, if there's other people in the room, respect your privacy, whatever, you could kind of use that, and that's cool. Over there, that's just purely decorative. I thought for a second this was metal, but it's actually plastic, so, you know, you can't annoy the neighbors with that, but, you know, yeah, you could try, but it's just plastic. And then for the bathroom, a pretty standard bathroom, but it worked out, you know, it was satisfactory. The bathtub, shower worked out nicely. The toiletries were good. Had this little line up here, actually, that you can use to kind of dry off some towels and the like, which I really hadn't seen before, but I thought that was a cool feature. Towels, though, well equipped, and the toilet functional as well, and it did what it had to do. So that's what the hotel room looked like, and kind of all the amenities involved and everything there. One thing that was pretty cool, to tell you the truth, is I took a couple extras here. These work. I mean, they were really good, especially the shampoo. Honestly, I couldn't believe it, because when I get the little hotel toiletries, some of them aren't the best. You know, they vary from place to place, but this was really cool. It's actually a really neat shampoo to use. I like the scent. This is my biggest. Yeah, I really like the scent of it, and I couldn't help myself. But I mean, it did a great job washing up, and I think actually they do sell them if you want to get them. One other thing that I did like about some of the resorts, anyway, I just I like doing this. When I was over at the Polynesian Village Resort for the one luau, because I was there for a couple days, you were able to kind of walk to some of the other resorts. And one of the other resorts there, the Grand Floridian, I believe, has this place called the Basin Store, where you can get premium soaps and all that stuff there. And that can be a lot of fun. It's just a personal thing, but that was a lot of fun too. But each place, I mean, to tell you the truth, I just had a lot of fun there. One of my favorite things, and I know I might sound like a bore when I'm saying this, but one of my favorite things about going to Disney and being there at the resort is just how they maintain the grounds. I mean, I couldn't believe it. When I was there walking around, taking these night walks, looking around, I mean, it was just amazing to me. The fact that they upkeep all of this to the degree that they do, that they keep some of these fountains running, you know, late into the night. It's just so pretty to walk around there, get some fresh air, see these beautiful sights that, I mean, that's literally right outside your hotel room. That's one of the things that really got me. The fact that, at least to me, some of the entertainment, some of these beautiful sights are literally right outside the door. When it came down to dining, I didn't really get a dining plan, but I did take advantage of some of the restaurants. At the Port Orleans Resort, they had the food court the Riverside food court, as well as a restaurant there, the Boatwright's Dining Hall. And I did utilize the food court. They kind of had I would call it Louisiana themed, Cajun style grill there. And I did have a Cajun chicken sandwich, which I thought was pretty good. It had kind of like a dry rub on the chicken, which is pretty enjoyable. And then in the morning, I had a chicken biscuit, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to get those ultra HD shots of the food. So just paint a picture in your mind. But I was able to get some chicken biscuits. I think that's what it was. Some chicken biscuits with honey. And they did a good job with that. That's something I always like to get to start my day off with. And, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought the food was pretty good for what it was. And overall, I mean, it was just a place that I was able to kind of sit back, relax, just have some fun, and make some good memories at, too. It's fun to explore. Again, they really maintain the grounds nice. The food's pretty good. And, for the value, I mean, I think they do a great job. I mean, the staff is great, very attentive. They treat you really with a lot of respect and very understanding. And, they cater to your needs. If you need anything to help, or if you need any extra toiletries or whatever it might be, they're usually very understanding and willing to help. And, that's one thing that sometimes you don't see too much in some services, but I did see that here, and my props go out to the staff at these resorts here. Now, you might be saying, you're talking about Disney, but you're not really mentioning the parks at all. Did you go to any of the parks? Now, when it comes down to the parks, because of my close proximity, I did get the annual pass holder, so I can go to the parks, when I wish. And I wanted to save that for another video. I want to save it for another video because these parks are so huge, there's so much to them. Each one really would deserve its own video. But I would say my two favorite Disney parks are Magic Kingdom and Epcot. Those are my two favorites. A lot of fun rides there. My favorite ride is the Haunted Mansion by far, hands down. But there's a lot of fun rides at these parks, and I'm going to save those experiences for another day. But truthfully, this vacation is just kind of a time to unwind. Again, spend some time with those I love and have a good number of memories made there as well, which I did. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I thought that Disney really did a great job kind of taking care of you as a resort guest. The parks don't disappoint either, but I'm going to save that for a future video. But my experience at the resort, really, I can't complain. Everything was clean, everything was up to par, everything was comfortable, the bed was comfortable. I don't have any complaints there at all. And I just had a great time. I had a fun time, some great memories made, and that's what's most important. One final note. It's a Thursday. You know what Thursdays are, right? If you happen to have that spare shortwave radio lying around your house that everyone does, I mean, who doesn't? You can hear my newest radio broadcast. It's something I do each week, where it's just a miscellaneous hour of some talk and some music, and I just share a few thoughts here and there, but it's a fun hour. It's something you could listen to diligently or leave on in the background, but it goes out to you via many means. Online on TuneIn, SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/VORW_radio_INT. That's all that I have for you, though. Just wanted to share a couple experiences with you. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll be seeing you again in a couple days, probably with a food review. No guarantees, but probably. I'd put the money on that. That's all that I have. Thank you for watching. Take care. I'm your host, the Report of the Week.